Hey everyone, today I want to give you some ideas for making a healthy and lower calorie alternative to chocolate truffles. Now when you take the fat out of something, you need to replace it with something else, and I am replacing it with a potato. That's right, potato. I know it sounds strange, but it does the job. I'm a big fan of potatoes from a nutritional standpoint. They're an excellent source of vitamin C. There's plenty of potassium, fiber, there's a little bit of protein, and of course some carbs. If you've got a healthy, active lifestyle, there's definitely room for potatoes in it. This particular potato, I like to use the Yukon Gold for this, and this is the exact size. So you want a fairly large potato. And I'm going to cook 2 of them, and I'm going to show you exactly how I cook them. And also the recipe I'm showing you today, first of all, it's not very specific because we're not baking, we're cooking, which means you can do whatever you want until it tastes the way you want it to taste. But it's really just a guideline, and this is for your craving. It's not my craving or trying to quell, it's yours. And I'm doing an orange version. I'm going to tell you about a blackberry version, but as you kind of play with it, it's a blank slate. You can do whatever you want that makes your craving just disappear. Hazelnuts, coconut, make it more chocolate. There's different things you can add because this potato is such a great blank canvas. So I'm going to show you everything spread out. I will put the recipe below and kind of go from there. Now again, like I said, it's guidelines. I want you to taste it as you go. Don't taste too much because that will defeat the purpose of trying to watch your calories, but get it to where it tastes good, and it's going to make a lot, so you can have several days that you can eat on them. I do sometimes serve them to friends. I always warn them that it is a potato base. It's not going to have that fatty mouthfeel that regular chocolate truffles have, so don't go comparing one to the other, but it definitely does the trick for me. So hopefully you'll give it a try. I may already have all the ingredients on hand. There are some special tools I'm using. They're easy to find at your local bath store, perhaps your grocery store if you're in a pretty big city. A lot of them are there. Hopefully you've got a well-stocked kitchen and you already have these in there, but if not, you're going to use them again. So get what you need to make good food. It makes cooking fun. If you don't already love it and you end up getting the right tools, it makes cooking such a joy. Hopefully this will inspire you. And let's get to the kitchen and over to the workspace and get these truffles going. Alright, so let's look at our ingredients here. I've got my bowls ready to go. I've got my 1/4 cup or thereabouts of mini chocolate chips. Remember, the small is very important. Size matters here. About a tablespoon of butter. This is room temperature. I'm going to grind up these nuts. This is a 1/4 cup of raw slivered almonds and 1 heaping tablespoon of raw sunflower seeds. This is going to give it texture as well as added nutrition. Since I'm making these orange flavor, I am using an orange extract. I love this one. Anyone you can find it will do, but I happen to always have this one on hand. I use it in different things. An actual fresh orange, it's orange. We need an orange to make it taste like orange. And a rasp to get the zest off of this bad boy. I am not going to use the juice, so either put that in your juice, put in your chicken or pork chops tonight, wrap it up in plastic wrap so it doesn't get hard, because the skin, there's oils in it, and it keeps the fruit moist and fresh. And once you take that off, it's naked. It's going to need a little protection, so take care of that orange if you're not going to eat it right away. A little bit of confectioner's sugar. We want the powdered sugar to dissolve quickly. I've got my potatoes going in the kitchen. We're going to go in there and look at how they're being cooked right now. Cocoa powder and cacao powder, and I've got my pink fine sea salt. You can use regular sea salt, but this just has more minerals, so I use this every day. And I have kosher salt for other things, but the kosher salt is not good for this application. Orange liqueur and a scoop to portion out my truffles. Now for this purpose, the size of the potato is very important, and you will see why if you keep watching. What I'm going to do is boil them, or half boil, half steam, because I'm only going to be using a small amount of water. You see the size of the potato. Cut it exactly like this because I'm going to rice it later. So I'm going to put it in the pot, and 2 is enough for this. 1 is too few, 3 is too many, but 2 of this good size Yukon Gold in the pot, and I'm really just going to use a small amount of water. Maybe, let's see. And you know, the reason for just using a small amount of water, they're going to get waterlogged and make the base of the truffle just too damp, and that's not what we're going for here. So I've got about an inch, just over an inch in here, so the potatoes are mostly exposed to the air. I am going to cover them, no salt. Remember, this is a base. We don't really want to have any flavor, so I'm going to put this on high, and of course, hopefully you know you always put cold water on your potatoes so they cook evenly. So let me get this over here, get them cooked, and then we'll be on to the next step. Alright, so I've got the warm potatoes here, and when I do this, it's important that they are warm, and I'm going to show you why. I'm going to work from the side so you can see everything I'm doing clearly. I'm going to rice the potatoes, and this really is the best way to put these together. A mashed potato, I suppose it would work, but I wouldn't risk it, and I'm going to tell you the story about why in just a minute. First of all, in the bowl, I'm going to put that tablespoon of butter, and the warm potato is going to melt it. It's already room temperature. This is unsalted butter. Remember, when you're cooking, any kind of baking cooking, you want to control how much butter, or rather how much salt is in what you're making, and you want to use unsalted butter. We will salt it, but I'm going to wait and see how it tastes. So what I did with the nuts here, I ground them up in a coffee bean grinder that I use exclusively for oats, nuts, and seeds. So I made it pretty fine. But just sprinkle that in. You can make it a little coarser if you want some more texture. I have a small amount of texture just because that's what I like, but you know, this is personal preference, and it's your craving you're satisfying. It's not mine, so make it to your taste. This is just a guideline or a base of how to flavor your truffle. You can be creative and use whatever you like. Oh, and something I wanted to mention about cocoa powder and cacao powder. The cacao powder, it's going to have more nutrition benefit. You're certainly going to get some antioxidant benefit from regular cocoa. Regular cocoa has about half the calories. You're going to get 30 calories in a tablespoon of cocoa and about 75 calories in the raw cacao. And I'm going to use a tablespoon of each, but normally I use all raw cacao. I'm not going to put that in just yet. Let's get these potatoes in here. Alright, so I'm going to start. This is why you never have to peel a potato again. Get the ricer going. If you don't have one, I highly recommend getting metal over plastic. If you're doing a volume of potatoes, say for mashed potatoes for the holidays, your family, or you're just going to make a lot, your arm is going to get so tired when you use a plastic one. The metal ones work much easier. So here's the cooked potatoes. I cooked 2 large Yukon Gold in just a small amount of water, as you saw in the video. Okay, I'll put it in, let's see, cut side down. See how it's straight down? And when you press it through, the potato's going to peel itself. This is why you don't have to worry about peeling potatoes ever again. Just rice it. I'm going to start doing, I think, 2 of the halves, and then see where we're at. See, the skin's up there, and no worries. Oh, I do have a little bit in the bottom. Let me just take that out before I put the next one in and keep it going. Oops. Really depends how many truffles you want to make. This will make, oh gosh, I made this not too long ago. Let me think how many it made. 20? I didn't get that upside down. Let's try it again. These are almost, this is actually a very large potato. Almost as big as the basket there. Alright, let's see. And rice it through. And this is going to make a really silky smooth potato. I remember when I first started cooking, gosh, I was young when I took a shine to cooking, probably 11 or 12. In my mid-teens, I was making mashed potatoes for a group. I think we were having a family dinner. And I I was so proud of myself. I was gonna mix and mix and mix and make them super creamy, and what happened was they became a big gummy mess that I really couldn't even serve, and I was a little bit embarrassed, but I never made that mistake again. All right, so I've got 2 halves in here. Let's see where we're at. That look pretty good. By the time I start adding things, it's gonna bulk up a little bit more, so let's see. All right, I'm going to put in about a tablespoon of the cocoa powder. That was sure I get just enough. I think it's gonna need just a little more. And then a tablespoon of the raw cacao. It really has a very similar flavor to the cocoa, so you won't notice much difference, but your body will. Okay, here we go. So I've put in about 3 tablespoons total. Next I'm going to put in the orange extract. This is oil-based. Some of what you'll find in the grocery store shelves will be alcohol-based. Either one's fine though. Like I said, I just prefer this one. And I think I will use some liqueur after all. I'm using Grangela, any orange liqueur you like. Cointreau, even triple sec would be fine. I just happen to like this one. I love it in my bourbon. So I'll put in 1, 2, just 2 scant tablespoons. I don't want to overpower it, and then you'll just completely miss the delicious taste of the chocolate. Okay, and remember this is just a little bit warm. I'm going to finish, I zested some of this earlier, I'm going to zest just a little bit more. Only the skin, once you get down to the white, you don't want that. And if you're not going to use the orange right away, you eat it, I'm going to throw this into my beet salad a little bit later. If you want to put in your pork chops or chicken tonight, that would be great, or just eat it fresh. The oil in the rind really protects the fruit, and without that it's going to dry out and be like leather, so you want to keep it wrapped in plastic if you're not going to use it in the next 2 or 3 hours. Oh, it smells wonderful. All right, so I'm going to mix this together just a little. Let me get some salt in here. It's a very fine sea salt, pink salt. I need some. Anytime you make sweets, you need a little salt to balance that out. And it looks like chocolate mashed potatoes, just like you would expect. And you don't want to overmix this or it will get tough. Just combine everything so there's no white spots. Looking pretty good. And before it cools down too much, I want to get this 1/4 cup of mini chips in. And there's a reason that I like them to go in at this temperature. Looks like it needs a little more cocoa first before I put those in. It's just a little too light. It should be the color of a truffle. I don't know that I'll put my dirty spoon in here, but I'll sprinkle in another 1/2 tablespoon. Remember, this doesn't have a lot of calories, and it's got great health benefits, so we're not going to worry about going overboard with that. There we go. That's a better color. It's coming together. Butter's melted, and I want to get the chips in, but I want to get them in towards the end at that key time where it's still just a little bit above body temperature, but after everything's been incorporated, because I don't want it mixed too much. And the reason for that is 1/4 cup mini chips, just a reminder, is I want them to melt slightly and even give a bit of a streak through the dough. And you wouldn't be able to see it, but when you taste it, there, that's just enough. Oops, and overboard. Let's put that back in here. Yep, let's put it in here. It's going to taste wonderful once it's cooled off and rolled in the cocoa powder. Let me get this off my fingers. Now in this empty bowl, I'm going to put some cocoa powder and start rolling. Where's my scooper at? Let me see where I put that. There we go, it was right behind me. Let me taste this. See if we need some sugar in here. Not much, just a little. I should have put it in before, but we'll be all right doing it like this. It doesn't need a whole lot. I'm going to do About a tablespoon. If you want it a little bit sweeter, go ahead and add an extra one. I don't think it needs it. Just very gently going to incorporate this. You don't want to overmix those little mini chips. All right, so I'm going to take the small bowl that the chips are in, and I'm going to put just a little bit of the cocoa powder because I'm going to roll them in that once they've cooled. I do have a cooled plate of them behind me, but first I want to show you how I roll these. I'm sure you've seen this before, but let's just do it anyway. I'm going to take a scoop, really small one. I want them to be traditional truffle sized. Just roll it gently. And there we go. And this will make about, I would say 20 from those 2 potatoes. And then if you do the other 2, it'll make 40, 45, depending on how big your scoop is, how many nuts you put in. But generally, that's what you can expect out of this. Don't those look great? All right, let me get the ones that are already done. Okay, these are chilled. They're nice and firm. You can see the difference between the cooled ones. They look a little bit less damp. Roll them in the cocoa. And I roll them in cocoa instead of even suggesting the confectioner sugar, because the moisture in these, it's going to absorb that sugar and you're not going to see the coating. Whereas if you do it in the cocoa powder, same thing, some of it will get absorbed, but not all of it. And you'll still get that traditional truffle look. There we go. And these are your healthy, nutrient-packed, yet still delicious orange truffle. I'm leaving some notes in the section below with the suggested recipe of ways that you can incorporate the blackberry version I spoke of how to do a coconut variation, a hazelnut variation, and I'd love to hear any creative ideas you come up with your own variations. And I hope you enjoy.